Erika, so glad that you came at least to my little funny country. Well, yeah, because you're always very big.
Yes.
No, but look, it's
Yeah, it's
nice
gorgeous.
also.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Old
Yeah.
mountains, volcano region.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
No, thanks for coming. So we are
Yes.
so lucky. So we want to share those moments with you and take the advantage of the situation to answer some questions we've received. And I'm sorry, it's true that I do much more content in French, some in Spanish and in English. I always wait for Erica to help me because I'm not very good.
Well, it's been about 4 years since we've been together, so it's understandable that we haven't done a lot in English. So it's
Yeah.
exciting to be able to chat with you all in English.
Yes, 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 yes. So you were telling me that you have some good and interesting questions that we could answer together.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting, especially because we've gotten a lot of attraction from estheticians.
Yeah.
That let's talk about how Chan beauté even came about, because of course the technique is Dien Chan, and we've moved into a little bit more of the aesthetic arena. Where did it come from, and how did it become born?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was in 2006. In fact, you remember we started teaching in 2002, and with some students that in fact were already very professional esthetician with a lot of years of career and consultation room in the west coast of Spain, in
Hmm.
Galicia, and it with Angela, and she's still practicing and working. They were her in particular and other students also were telling us that they were observing very very good results with the use of the multi-reflex tools
Mm,
while they were treating. They were esthetician, but they were doing also wellness and treating some little pains and things like this with massage, and so we start taking notes and observing. Yes, we were agreed that the mechanical effect of the multi-reflect tools were obviously good because they are soft but dynamic also, and and also they were observing these more other students that were practicing as practitioners to treat disease disorders. They were observing that the marks that they had on the face were disappearing when they were solving the problem, rebalancing the body.
yeah.
So like scars, like marks, like wrinkles also. So combining all those observations, we decided to build a sort of protocol to study and check clinically if those things were working.
Yeah, well, I find it so fascinating because, as you're saying, you have somebody who's an esthetician,
Mm,
so they're used to observing the skin,
yes.
and it's through treating issues in the body.
Mm,
So, for example, they weren't treating the actual wrinkle or the skin condition, but they were treating the concern of the patient, and it's through observation that they noticed these things were being rebalanced on the skin as well.
yes.
So it's through this avenue of working with Dien Chan that they realized it also has a aesthetic benefit.
Completely. So once all those things were noted like this and classified, we've decided to do a course more focused on this with those students. That it was more
Yeah,
to share also experiments and to put order in it.
sure.
And like this was born the Chanbote.
Yeah.
So then instead of making a book again, very old 20th century style, I prefer to make an app. It's much more interactive
Yeah.
to help all the new students to not to reinvent hot water, but to use at least what it was already approved,
Investigated.
investigated,
Yeah.
and with good results. And we call it the Chanbote magazine, interactive or app or digital Chanbote digital. I think this you gave this name, and I really like it. And like this, they can have access to practical sheets, to protocols, and also it's evolving with time because it's a young and modern technique.
Yeah.
But it's not aesthetic; it's therapeutic aesthetic. It's the goal is to reach the origin
Yes.
of the imperfection that you can see.
Yeah. You know what I noticed in my own practice, because I don't come from the aesthetic background, and in fact, if you were to tell me I was in some sort of beauty industry, I would probably have laughed at you.
Yeah.
But what I find fascinating about it is it's actually more from the diagnostic perspective.
Mm.
And so now with visual cues of what I see on the face and where skin conditions reside, they give me more information before being able to go to different places so I can take a look at where these things are on the face, relay them to the maps and the diagrams to be able to give me better questions. So in fact, I can go much faster when I combine Dien Chan and Chan beauté, which is really just what you see on the face. It's telling you a story.
Yes, also another very interesting question is about many new students is how do we integrate all those different type of tools that we propose and use in Chan beauté and in Dien Chan into aesthetic, for example? You have this question, isn't it?
Yeah, all the time, because especially in the realm of holistic facials, or people call themselves holistic facialists, they're used to techniques like gua sha or lymph brushing or facial cupping. And in fact, they're not wrong, of course. But in Dien Chan and Chan beauté, we respect very much the philosophy of yin and yang.
Exactly.
So understanding what is the condition you're working on in order to use the proper effect to rebalance. So sometimes it's just, switching from one to the next in order to help the zone of the face almost rejoin the rest of the skin.
Yeah, I like this
How
concept.
do we make it so that it doesn't feel so separate from the rest of the face, and how we can help integrate that way? And I find sometimes we might need a little yang, we might need a little yin, which is kind of our cupping, and gua sha is more in the yin family, depending on how you use it.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very interesting.
It's interesting because it's important to give a sense to the treatment, and this is why it's so nice to learn in a practical way this thing about the yin and the yang. We're not going to get lost into philosophy. It's to be able to determine if your imperfection, your trouble, your disease, your pain, your suffering is in a yang version of it or in a yin version of it. And like this, you can act with the contrary effect just to rebalance, but rebalance in a dynamic way. This is what I like of the Dien Chan concept, is the concept like life. It's always in balance, but dynamic. Not a static balance, a dynamic balance. And so we are not going to reinvent hot water. Yin and yang are talking about this.
Yes.
So let's use it.
Oh, do you hear the birds?
Yes.
So pleasant.
Something that really pleases me is to see how empowered they are, the students, after the class, just integrating already many of the things that they've been learning into their already practice, so they don't change. What is important also to understand is that nobody has to abandon what they were used to do before. At the contrary, Dien Chan, Chan beauté are very, very complementary. You have the same experience.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's not, I want people to understand that Dien Chan isn't about what's right and what's wrong. It's more, how do we utilize them together, because everything has its strengths and everything has its purpose. So just with a 5 or 10 minute technique that you can integrate right away if you like, they're very happy.
This is why it's so important for the esthetician in particular to understand that you have to learn the basis of Dien Chan to have good result in Chan beauté.
Yes, of course.
If not, you are just rolling, and for this you have jade rollers and gua sha and things like this. And it's, well, okay, it's wellness. I call this wellness.
Yes.
If you want to reach the origin of the imperfection, to rebalance, like this is not expressed as a wrinkle, as a mark, as a mole, as a everything, you need to understand what you're doing. And this is why we're using reflex diagrams, points also when we know a bit more, and the yin and the yang effect.
Yes.
And I think we're lost.
I was just looking. I'm like, I don't know where we are.
Because here now there are 3 pathways, and we have to make a decision.
Oh, can you guys help us? Do we go this way? Do we go this way? Or do we go that way?
Well,
stay tuned for where we end up.
Exactly.